I'm fixing my hair. Welcome to A Cunt's Guide to Peace. Wait, that looks terrible. If you're just listening and not watching, I'm fixing my wig. I was too lazy to glue it on today because it'd be like that. This season is about me working out my theory on genetic coding, outdated genetic coding in women and men, and I have picked specific cases where I think my theory is supported, and they were huge hits in the last few years as documentaries or podcasts because they were just so wild as stories. Not you know what, they're actually, they really happened. It's a real thing that happened to people, but it fascinated people because it was just so dark. So we talked about Sweet Bobby, about Kira and Bobby. We also covered Dirty John, about John Meehan, and Deborah, oh gosh, what's her last name? Oh, Newell! Yes, Deborah Newell. That's her name. So if you've seen season 1 at all, I'm not trying to be funny about it. It's just that I partied for like 10 years, right? So I have trouble remembering some things, and it's just something that happens when you, like, from excessive drinking and whatever party favor you were into. I mean, no matter what anybody tells you, your brain does get tired. So like when you sober up, you see those little effects. So like these things, sometimes I get so embarrassed when I like forget names or details of things, and like this, for example, stuff I've researched extensively. I've watched so many documentaries and listened to so many podcasts about all of these things, and then you try to, like, in the heat of the moment, retell something, and then gaps. I'm a pianist as well, and I can tell you that when I'm playing the piano and pieces I've played since I was like 6, 7, like Für Elise, for example, Beethoven, right? I can play that in my sleep, really. I blank sometimes, and I've learned, because muscle memory is so cool, I just keep letting my fingers go, even though I'm like, shit, I don't know what's next. I do know what's next. Of course I know what's next. But in the moment, for a second, I'm blanking because I've just, like, attacked my brain for 10 years with substances. And so it's hard to retain information sometimes, and blah, blah, blah. I digress. But anyway, her name is Deborah Newell. All right. And so I did these, season 2 is about these cases, famous cases that were made into documentaries or podcasts, where they tell the stories of these women who were absolutely just destroyed by these people. And I have a theory that there's an outdated genetic coding still active in us today, in men and women, that misfires and misinforms us when we are in romantic relationships. And that's what we're talking about. So today, we're going to cover the Tinder Swindler, which was a huge hit also. It's horrible to say that again, to frame it as a huge hit. This is awful things that happen to really nice people. It was told well, it was made well. It's a documentary on Netflix, still there now. You should go watch it. There's also a podcast about it, several, I'm sure, actually. So if you want a more detailed, in-depth breakdown of what this was, you should listen to those. This is just a summary to kind of lay the foundation for me to present my theory on outdated genetic coding in us. Okay, so Tinder Swindler. Welcome back to A Cunt's Guide to Peace. So let's talk about the Tinder Swindler. For anybody who missed the Netflix documentary because you were busy dodging real life dating disasters, here's the recap. There's this guy, Simon Leviev, except he's not Simon and he's not Leviev. He's not related to the Diamond heir, unless, of course, cubic zirconiac counts. He is counterfeit. His scam was simple. He'd match with women on Tinder, take them on glamorous dates funded by the previous woman he had scammed. Robin Hood if Robin Hood robbed women and then used the money to buy himself a Gucci belt. He'd show them a luxurious lifestyle. We're talking private jets, 5-star hotels, restaurants where the menu doesn't even list the prices, because if you have to ask, you probably shouldn't be there. Right. So when the women were like, wow, maybe I am living in a rom-com. My enemies are after me. I'm in danger. My bodyguard has now been lightly stabbed. He was fine, by the way. The bodyguard was the best actor in the entire documentary. Then Simon says, like the game, I need money. Transfer it now. The women do. He disappears, and then the cycle continues. This man basically ran a Ponzi scheme powered by estrogen and hope. He was very smart. I'll give him that. I'm not fond of him, but he is brilliant. Unlike the other cases that I covered so far, like he's savvy. Now, why did so many smart women fall for this? These women were not stupid. They weren't barefoot in a field, sniffing lavender, waiting for a man to rescue them. They were educated, employed, emotionally literate. So that's where we, I think, as women, as female listeners, get like angry, because we're being represented. I think maybe we see ourselves in a lot of the things that they are and do, and then suddenly they do that, and you're like, wait, that doesn't mean I would do that. So why did they fall for a man whose whole vibe screamed tax fraud? Enter the outdated genetic coding theory. That's my theory, which I love because it finally explains both dating and why I panic when a man I barely like doesn't text back. Do you remember that? Do you remember feeling that there's something very urgent about getting the approval or affection of this person? Have you, in fact, let's take it further. Have you ever started liking a guy when he stopped liking you? Does that sound familiar? Suddenly you were like, wait, I need you to approve of me. I need you to want me. And you just don't get why. It's not all of these things, by the way, all these impulses are framed as romantic or like cute. They're not. They're little sprinkles of mental illness. That's psychotic behavior. As soon as the person withdraws their affection or their desire for you, suddenly you're activated to like them. And you think that may be love, and you just didn't realize it until that moment. That's not true. That's because you have abandonment issues and they got triggered the moment that they abandoned their affection for you. You're like, whoa. Wait a minute. You must love me. You must love me. Anyway, that's not what this episode is fully about, but I just wanted to bring up something that you might be able to relate to off the bat, because I feel like everybody has had that moment. Okay, so way back in the day, and I mean back in the day when people thought a good time was surviving the winter, a woman's survival was often tied to securing a man, right? And we're going into what the theory is here, the outdated coded. Wow, I'm having a brain freeze. I love this for me. Let's untie this together. Outdated genetic coding. Found it. Okay. Not for love, not for fireworks, but because you didn't get married off, your options were starve, die, or become a witch if you didn't have a man's affection, which honestly sounds fun, but came with very high execution rate. So yeah, the witch part was not necessarily a hit. But so the female brain developed a submission impulse, not because of insecurity, not because of daddy issues, but because genetically the alarm said, I think this man will lead to you losing your whole village, and someone will definitely blame you. So it was kept that direct and simple. You had to secure a partner. There was no talk of affection or love or respect or consent. What's that? No, you have to secure the financial stability and the status of your family, right? And this is going to be genetically coded in you because you observe how that not happening is getting people slaughtered. You know, we developed ways to continue to survive. It makes total sense. I'm such a genius. I'm not. But like, this makes total sense. I get it. I get why women are doing this. Okay, so anyway, Female brain develops the submission impulse, and it says, lose this man and your whole village might perish. Fast forward to 2025, women no longer need to secure a man to avoid famine and arrange a politically convenient goat trade, but the coding is still there. When a man shows resources, protection, status, and urgency, the four horsemen of prehistoric female safety, the ancient code lights up like a Christmas tree. Swindler knew exactly what buttons to push. And this is what makes them so savvy, because dishonest grifters that are emotionally intelligent know all about these codings, and they exploit it because they count on you not knowing those buttons exist in you too. And that's exactly what happened here. So, private jet status, big bodyguard who looks like he eats boulders, protection. Romantic intensity, bonding. Sudden danger, attachment activation, right? Fear of losing him, hello, outdated survival program. He went full anthropological. This was warfare, like emotional warfare from start to finish. He used all of it. And it worked. It worked actually several times over if you listen to the podcast. Exact same script, exact same dangers, exact same, I need money, my enemies are after me. It's the same thing. It's a brilliant script. So why didn't they check his claims? Because evolution didn't prepare us for con artists with Instagram. That's why my brain is wired for, is he dangerous? Will he kill me? Is he likely to leave me in the forest? Not, did he Photoshop that jet? Why does his account sound like 17 different countries fighting? Should I Google, do billionaires ask for loans? Like, you're too far gone at that point. I mean, I'm saying these exact things because I know that's what I was thinking, and that's probably what you were thinking when you were watching this. If you'd been in the private jet, in the 4, 5, 6, 7-star hotels that he was taking these women in, you are registering this as a protector, a provider, a 1%er, someone who has all the codes to the whole game. You're just gonna submit. If you are sensitive to that coding, you are done for, and they were done for. Women in the documentary kept saying, "I just trusted him," which makes sense because back then, not trusting your mate could mean exile, death, or becoming the village's least favorite witch. And again, I've mentioned where that usually goes. So instead of questioning, why does this billionaire need my credit card? The brain said, we must protect this valuable male before our entire genetic bloodline collapses. That's what he activates in you. And again, I am not big on like abandoning agency. I am all for taking responsibility. I feel like they could have just pressed the freaking Google button at some point, at least verify that he was in error. I'm wired that way, though. I do background checks on my mother on occasion, just for the fuck of it. I'm such a paranoid person. I'm like, are you? Are you though? Are you my mom? I'm wired that way, but I don't mean that I'm so set. There's probably other ways you could get to me. This wouldn't have been one of them. I hope you would have understanding to these women after he did such a fantastic job of displaying security, protection, superiority, and alpha maleism. He made quite a show of it from the start. So, anyway, outdated genetic code. Men aren't off the hook. Their outdated coding tells them women must submit. I need to be a provider. Also, I definitely am the hero of this story, and I need to be the hero of this story. And the Tinder Swindler weaponized this coding too. That's why I think he's just so fucking smart and mean. He's just mean. He's smart and mean. He exaggerated power, dominance, wealth, all instinctively appealing signals, aren't they? He basically radiated, you will be safe with me, while simultaneously creating danger himself, right? He was the arsonist who then sold fire extinguishers. The punchline of evolution. Okay, so here's the real kicker. By the time women evolved a creep detector, the sense Dr. House talks about the Darwin alarm for predators, society had changed. Men were becoming less physically dangerous and more emotionally or financially sketchy, right? So now the instinct that once protected women from cavemen and clubs is confused by men with soft voices and good cologne and a fake Rolex. And the alert system basically needs a software upgrade. So how do we make peace with this? Well, we acknowledge the outdated coding. If you feel a sudden urge to protect a man who can't even protect his Wi-Fi password. That's not love. That's evolution glitching. Hang on one second. I see a lot of situations in friends of mine, and maybe also myself when I actively dated. I don't today. Extreme emotional responses to men that have done very little. And I don't mean that it's like tit for tat in that regard. Like how people show affection, how they decide as something is genuine it's entirely up to them. But there's also illogical responses to things, and a lot of the times there would be an extreme emotional response to, like I mentioned earlier, withdrawal, like a man withdrawing affection, and suddenly you're just on the floor begging for it, or the other way around, which again, those are just mental illnesses. There's nothing to do with genuine affection or partnership. That's a psychosis in itself. When you look at somebody who is causing more stress in your life, more challenges in your life, rather than by partnering with him makes your life a little bit easier, I think it's worth looking at more. What is love to you? If love is informing you that you would love him even if you both had nothing, I would strongly ask you to reconsider that. Because having nothing in this world is not easy. It's not recommended, and there is no love that survives that. Any love story that you've seen that's romanticized that concept is a lie. Fight me, at me. Give me one example where they were impoverished, but they were so madly in love, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It does matter. So, how do we make peace with this? We acknowledge the outdated coding. Listen to your modern brain. Let the part that knows billionaires don't need loans speak. Not, oh, but he showed me all these examples at first. So, no, there's no reality in the world. Now, if you're in the hands of a con artist like Simon Leviev, who's supposed to be a billionaire, millionaire, hell, they don't even have to be that. They can just have a decent freaking check. They don't need loans from you. They don't need loans from you ever. They just don't. That my enemies is usually code for my credit score. My enemies are after me. Who says that actually today? When you watch the documentary, you might burst out into laughter a few times because of how it's almost like he gets tired of the script when he's doing it to like the fourth woman. He's like, oh, he like tries to make urgency on the phone, and he's like, my enemies, they're shooting at me, they're after me. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? I think there's definitely the group of women who are like me, who again run background checks on their own family members still. It's such an obvious red flag. It's comical, but he's already, like I said, locked them in, and by demonstrating, like beating his chest essentially in front of them, going, I am the biggest one here, I'm the alpha. And so they're just so blinded by it. Because the outdated genetic coding, that's like that's a protector, that's a male, so you're what chance do you have? And you're right, if you are still ignoring the fact that there is that in you, that outdated genetic coding, I think you are in a lot of trouble, and you are at risk of being severely burned by people like that. Anyway, peace comes from accepting, I think, a man whose impulses aren't they're your ancestors screaming from the grave, pick a mate or die, and you get to tell them, Grandma, relax, I have my own bank account now, we can do that. Challenge some of those things that feel so real in you, because the thing I think about the genetic coding is it's not wrong. The problem isn't that it's wrong. The problem is that it's out of place. So when people listen to it, you can't really blame them, because it feels, every part of you is saying, if you don't, you're in so much trouble. Going against a perceived stress relief method, or something that gives you peace in what's perceived as a stressful environment or a stressful world. If your stressor is that you really need to get married, or you really want a partnership, or you really want love, And this guy is just showing you everything that you thought defines love, and it's making you feel small at the same time. There's so much to override. I get that. Um, but we have to give it a chance for the software to upgrade, so to speak. So that won't happen if we're just actively reinforcing the old one, right? So don't be afraid, I think, to challenge situations that feel wrong. Maybe it is that new upgrade trying to develop, and it doesn't really have a leg to stand on yet because it's just so early. Us having not needing men to survive, where, by the way, parts of the world that's still a reality. It's that new, where it's not even fact for the whole world. So it's not an impulse on its own yet. It's not a signal on its own yet. I think it can barely make itself heard, barely. And I think people will go better safe than sorry and listen to that very strong, deafening alarm that's like, no, submitted to this one. But yeah, so that's been this episode. Simon Leviev, I think, went to prison. He was reported to the government. Actually, oh, you'll find this satisfying. So the girl, because he was scamming 4 or 5 women at the same time with this Tinder Swindler, the Tinder scam. So multiple girlfriends, multiple women. Like basically, this one's money was supporting his charade for this one, and then this one he would take that one's money. So the Ponzi scheme, the romantic Ponzi scheme, right? There was one in Amsterdam, I believe, that after these first 3 women that the documentary opens and is centered around largely, that are in Norway. And is it Finland or London? I don't know, but I definitely one is in Norway. They get to the papers, and this poor lady from Amsterdam who is getting on a flight after a romantic weekend with her boyfriend Simon. The article pops up that says Simon Leviev, the Tinder swindler. Can you imagine that? You just spent like such a romantic weekend with your boyfriend, and he pops up on I just spilled my tea. On an article on your phone as you're getting on a plane. She reads it, and he, of course, tries to tell her that, this is not true, blah, 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 whatever. Long story short, but please watch the documentary because it's so satisfying what she does to him. But essentially, she swindles the swindler, cleans him out. And I just thought she was absolutely fantastic. It was the ultimate revenge for all of us watching as women who were really angry at the first 3 women. But then you're like, fuck yeah, because they report him, and them reporting him leads to the articles being written and leads to that girlfriend in Amsterdam finally getting him. And anyway, he gets arrested because he was developing a new persona. She reports that, I think, to TSA, who then reported him. I don't know where he was. I don't know if it was Germany or whatever, but as soon as he got off the plane, he got arrested. So he did serve a little bit of time, not nearly enough, and these women are still paying off hundreds and thousands of dollars of debt that he forced them to take out loans. Now, it's infuriating because the way he worded it at the time, but you could sell this, maybe you should sell your car. He's bold with it too. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, I'm out of money. Well, babe, if you love me, you'll sell this, you'll sell that. It's actually just heartbreaking at times to listen to. But the reason that I thought that this has to be an element of partly a genetic coding that is misfiring today, but also combined with whatever your childhood is and your history with abandonment and your relationship. I mean, if you had a good father, I think, and a good example of how a man is supposed to treat you, you might be able to resist a very strong genetic coding like that, I think. I can't say this for sure. I'm literally just talking like very spontaneously here. But I would imagine if you had a good example that a man wouldn't bankrupt a woman in the name of love, then you might be like, I don't think you're supposed to be doing that to me. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I just love how it ended. I love that all of the women banded together and absolutely killed his status. That guy's a piece of shit. And I loved that for them. But yeah, so that was my latest example for updated genetic coding. I hope it made sense. I will see you next week.